Hey guys, Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for Puck It with Jo. Happy Thursday, loaded slate out there. I need a big day here. Yesterday was really cold. Didn't expect those upsets to come in. So let's jump into today's games. Like I said, we have 10 games out there. Matt, big shout out to you. Thank you for being here. And we're going to start off with the first one with the Washington Capitals taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Now, all of these games, it seems like today, except for the Seattle Kraken, there is a huge reasoning behind where I'm looking at these plays because of playoff positioning, not only within their divisions moving up and down, but as well as wild card spots. So a lot to play for these teams. When we look at the Washington Capitals here, they're off a win versus the Red Wings in a game where I really thought the Red Wings would come out stronger, but Washington was able to get the win, winning that one 2-1. The Caps really haven't been scoring those goals. When we look at their last 7 games, they've only scored 12 goals. So they've been struggling to find the back of the net, haven't been lighting the lamp. But looking at this one versus Buffalo, you've got to expect Ovechkin to come out here nice and strong. And for the Washington Capitals to be able to get this win, they've dropped 6 of their last 7, including 3 of their last 4 on the road. So the struggles have been here, but Charlie Lindgren has been phenomenal out there. He made 42 saves in the game versus the Detroit Red Wings. He's 9-8 with a 2.99 goals against average on the road this season. So I'm expecting Charlie Lindgren to come out strong. They're going to face Lankaken in net for the Buffalo Sabres. Now, he's 14-11 with a 2.25 goals against average on his home ice this season. So we have seen him play strong. Now, the Buffalo Sabres were eliminated in their last loss. So they're looking to play spoiler here. That loss was a tight one versus the Dallas Stars. That was a 3-2 loss in that last game out. So 6th in the Atlantic, eliminated off the season, facing a team that is fighting for a wild card spot. So they're 4th in the Metro here for the Washington Capitals, sitting in that last wild card spot right now with the 85 points. But like I said, this is a tight race for this wild card spot. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Detroit Red Wings are both 1 point behind them for that last wild card spot. With how pivotal this game is here for the Washington Capitals, I think they find a way to get a win. They're coming in as the dog on the road. Now, current odds on this one, let me just pull it up on FanDuel, you guys. The Washington Capitals are coming in at plus 114, minus 137 here for the Buffalo Sabres. Total of 5.5, minus 132 to the over, plus 108 to the under. We did see the Buffalo Sabres just win this on April 2nd, this matchup, 6-2, and it was in Washington. So I understand why the Buffalo Sabres are the favorite in this one, especially when you look at this team. They are better on their home ice than they are out there on the road. So being already able to play spoiler kind of in Washington, you would think that they could come back and answer back in this one. I'm just not buying into it. I do think Charlie Lindgren will do enough to win the Washington Capitals this game. This team needs this win for the playoffs. So give me Ovechkin for the anytime goal coming in at plus 140. I do think he needs to score to get his team the win. And yes, this is the last home game here for the Buffalo Sabres. So this one isn't going to come easy at all for the Washington Capitals. It's all going to rely on Charlie Lindgren. Now, before I started the show, or before I looked earlier, there was no props up for Charlie Lindgren. There is now. So his save shots on goal is 28.5. I would take that to the over. We know the Buffalo Sabres are going to bring it tonight to play that spoiler role in front of their home crowd. So I do think Charlie Lindgren has to go over 28.5 save shots. Now, Lankaken coming in here for the Buffalo Sabres, his number is 24.5, and it seems pretty light here. The Buffalo Sabres don't offer a lot of resistance on the defensive side, and we know Washington's going to do everything they can to get this win today. So I do think even looking at Lankaken as well, over 24.5 save shots. I expect those shots to be firing out there on the ice. This one absolutely has the opportunity of going to overtime, and there's a couple games I'm really liking to go to overtime today. The overtime one, and this is coming in at plus 350. We are going to see these two teams playing their best style of hockey. Now, when we look at the Sabres, they get out on the road and they face the Panthers on Saturday and then the Lightning on Monday, both of those road games. So like you guys stated, this is their final home game. When we look here at the Washington Capitals, they have the Lightning at home on Saturday, the Bruins on Monday, and then the Flyers will be their last game. That will be out there on the road. So the Capitals don't have the luxury of losing this game and leaving anything in the chance of the other teams losing. Mark, happy Thursday. Let's make some money tonight. Thank you so very much. You know what? And I wanted to play that under as well, but I can't get there with the under. I think if these teams get desperate with this being a 5.5, I just can't. I was looking at the under 1.5 in the first period, but again, I kind of am cautioned with that because I think Buffalo will play with a less disciplined style out here. And we know the Washington Capitals can get into games where they go down quick. And if they go down quick versus the Buffalo Sabres, it's going to open that game up a lot more here in this one. So I'm going to stay off the total. I'm just going to look at the Caps to be able to get the win here. And Ovechkin for his anytime goal at plus 140. You can take him for the 2+ points. That's coming in at plus 235 as well. He has 852 career goals. He's 42 behind Wayne Gretzky for the most in NHL history. So pretty cool. He's had a goal in 3 of the last 4 games as well. So, you know, Ovi's going to be playing nice and hard in this one. But Alex Tuch has extended his point streak to 4 games. He's got 2 goals and 5 assists. So Alex Tuch's been playing phenomenal for the Buffalo Sabres, and Rasmus Dahlin has become the second defenseman in Sabres history to score at least 20 goals in a single season. So look at Dahlin to come out nice and strong. I'd look at his points tonight. If you think it's going to be that higher scoring game, I do think both goaltenders go over their props. I would lean to a lower scoring one because the Capitals can't get in a higher scoring one with the Buffalo Sabres to be able to win this. But I'm not willing to take a 5.5 to the under in this matchup either. This one definitely could go to overtime. The next game on the board, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Florida Panthers. Now, Jet Greaves expected to get the start here for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Bobrovsky for the Florida Panthers. Looking at this matchup, it's going to be an interesting one out here. We have the Florida Panthers as a huge favorite right now, minus 410 on that money line, and +1 or +315 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Total 6.5. Now that 6.5 is juiced to the under at minus 128. And it makes sense why. We saw the Florida Panthers come out versus the Ottawa Senators, get up those couple of goals and just hold on to that 2-0 lead and record the win. Now they're sitting second in the Atlantic. They have 104 points. They're only 3 points behind Boston to get that first place in the Atlantic, with the Leafs 3 points behind them and 1 game in hand. So they can't afford to lose this. They'll lose second in the Atlantic if Toronto continues to win and they get another loss here. So this win is pivotal for them. All wins are pivotal at this point in the season for these teams. They don't want to drop from second to third within their division. Looking at Columbus sitting 8th in the Metro, we know this team is eliminated. They're off 2 losses. They lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning in that last one, 5-2 on Tuesday. I'm going to look at the Florida Panthers to come out hard in that first period. I expect them to cover that puck line in the first period. The half a goal in the first period is coming in at minus 110. So I do like that. I do think it is a strong way to go, looking at them strong straight out of the gate. We look at Barkov. He's been phenomenal out there. His power play point is plus 135. We know the Columbus Blue Jackets don't do a solid job of protecting against that power play. Their kill is weak. So Barkov for the power play point at plus 135, and Sam Reinhart for 2+ points. I love it. It's coming in at plus 190. I expect the Florida Panthers to play a strong offensive game and lock down on the defensive side. Could we see another 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 game in this one? We absolutely could, as their defense comes to play, and offensively this team as well puts up those points. Now, when we look at the Florida Panthers schedule, they've got the Sabres at home on Saturday and the Maple Leafs at home on Tuesday. So the rest of their games of the season are at home here. But like I said, that game versus the Leafs have a game in hand and only 3 points behind. So they don't want to lose this one, because then it's the Sabres and then the Leafs again. Or, well, not the Leafs again, but then they have to face the Leafs, who are only the 3 points behind. When we look here at Columbus, they've got the Preds on a Saturday. The Predators have an opportunity of getting that win. And then they're back at home versus the Carolina Hurricanes on a Sunday. So it could be a strong finish for the Columbus Blue Jackets, depending on where things are looking with the Canes with their points, if they need those points to be able to get the win, or if they just go through the motions in that last game in Columbus, because I could see Columbus pulling off the win. So something to look ahead to for sure. You're going to go with the Sabres, Dave. You love those Sabres to play upset. I don't know if I can see it. But you need that to happen. I forgot. Okay. You're going to parlay the over 5.5 in the Sabres game with the Pirates on the money line. I love the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight with that pitching matchup. I think it's going to be a really strong game out there for them. Yeah, I think Florida blows them out as well. Okay. The Philadelphia Flyers, talking about a team that is exhausted out there on the ice. It is absolutely the Flyers. This team has been struggling down the stretch, and they just haven't been able to get a win. They've lost their last 8 games. Montreal absolutely crushed them on Tuesday, 9-3. And in all of those, the player that I had to get the goal for Montreal wasn't able to get the goal. So I was shaking my head in that one. But the Flyers are plus 168. If you think they can pull off the upset versus the New York Rangers, the Rangers a $2 favorite at minus 205. This total is sitting at 6.5. It's minus 130 to the under and plus 106 to the over. If you think the New York Rangers can cover that puck line, laying 1.5 is coming in at plus 126. And it does seem like the right way to go. I'm just going to look at the New York Rangers in the first period. That first period puck line, laying the half a goals coming in at plus 126. Jonathan Quick is getting the start here for the New York Rangers, and Urgent here for the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, when we look at the Rangers, they're sitting first in the Metro with 110 points. The Carolina Hurricanes are sitting 3 points behind them with 107. So that's what I mean. When we look at the Carolina Hurricanes, when they play Columbus, in Columbus's last game, you got to look to see if they're within striking distance of the New York Rangers for points, or if that game will kind of be null. It won't matter. They still won't be able to catch the Rangers. So things that you got to look at when you're looking at those games later on in the next week here. But the Canes are 3 points behind the New York Rangers right now with 107. So excuse me. My voice is going a little bit. The Stars have 109 points. So they're 1 point behind the New York Rangers right now for the President's Trophy. So you got the Stars and the Rangers battling it out, 1 point between the two of them. Right now, if the season ended before today's games kicked off, we would see the New York Rangers win the President's Trophy. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of think it is really a curse out there. I wouldn't want my team to be winning it. It might be a team that has an early exit again in the playoffs, but looking at how the Rangers have been playing, I expect a lot out of this team. Now the Flyers are 6th in the Metro with 83 points. I just can't see this team, while they're not officially eliminated, being able to get anywhere. So we're just going to look at the Rangers in the first period on that puck line at plus 126. This is the last game on the road of 4 games on the road for the Flyers. They're too tired out there. I would look at the Rangers in 60 minutes as well. That's coming in at minus 145. So I could see them just finishing this one out and getting the win. Just look at your comments here. Yeah, the Flyers should be mad at themselves for what happened on Monday. But, well, and then you got to wonder how much effort we're going to get out of the Rangers. I think the Rangers still get the win. Okay, let's look at the Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This game has to be the game that you have circled if you're going to watch one. It's going to be absolute fire out there on the ice between these two teams. These two teams are battling for that last wild card spot with the Washington Capitals, but they're playing each other. They're both sitting with 84 points, with the Pittsburgh Penguins with 84 points, 5th in the Metro, and the Detroit Red Wings, 84 points, 5th in the Atlantic. Now, the way it falls within the standings, we do see within the standings the Pittsburgh Penguins sitting above the Detroit Red Wings because they've gone 78 games, 36 wins, 30 losses, 12 overtime losses. And then the Red Wings, 78 games, 38 wins, 32 losses, 8 overtime losses. So Penguins are sitting above them because of those regulations, but we will see see what happens with this one. Leon is confirmed in net for the Detroit Red Wings, and Nedeljkovic here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, we know the playmakers on both of these teams, and these teams aren't going to go away lightly tonight. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins coming in off the loss versus the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we have the Detroit Red Wings off the loss versus the Washington Capitals on Tuesday. A loss that really hurt them, because if they would have been able to get that win, they would be sitting where the Capitals are sitting right now instead of them sitting below fighting this one out. Although all three of these teams still fighting it out with each other. Now, when we look at how they've done in the season versus each other, they've split. We did see the Penguins win on their home ice 6-3 in March, and the Red Wings win on their home ice in October 6-3. So we've seen high scoring battles. You guys, I can't see this being a back and forth high scoring battle at all, because every single movement, I think, is going to be the defense controlling this game. I really can't see this being an offensive explosion. But that being said, I'm staying off the total. I'm staying off the side. I'm going to take this game to go to overtime. Well, the Pittsburgh Penguins seem like the right side, because I still don't completely trust the defense here of the Detroit Red Wings. I look at this game as one that is going to be so phenomenally tight. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, just looking at odds right now, they were minus 150. They're minus 156 now on the money line. So there's no value taking them. I can't take that puck line because it's going to be too tight of a game. If you're brave enough to take the puck line here with the Pittsburgh Penguins because you think there's going to be an empty netter and not Detroit tying it up, I can't see this one being a game where one of these teams wins at like 4-2 in a game where that team has dominated from the start. I think what we're going to see is one of these teams get up, try to protect that lead, not explode offensively, and the other team do their best and end up pushing this to OT. So I'm going to take this one to go to overtime. The total is 6.5, minus 124 to the under, plus 102 to the over. But like I said, I could see this being a 3-2 game, and that third goal coming, pushing it to overtime, pushing us over that total. So I'm staying off that. I could also see it being a 2-2 game going to OT, because I really do think the way to win this game for one of these teams is for their defense to prevail. And that's why I lean on the Pittsburgh Penguins, because I do trust their defense. But great goaltending on both sides. Offensively, there's so much firepower on these teams as well. So the overtime bet in this one is plus 360. You look at Sidney Crosby, you know he's going to put the weight of this team on his shoulders. So many playmakers for the Red Wings: Dylan Larkin, Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat. You got Malkin on the Penguins. So this is going to be a battle. That is for sure. When we look here at what games these teams have left, so 84 points for the both of them. Now we will see the Red Wings face the Leafs on the road on Saturday. Then they have 2 games versus Montreal. Montreal is loving to play spoiler right now. One of their games is at home. The other one is in Montreal. But Montreal will be returning from being on the road for a couple of games. So I do think the Red Wings have the opportunity to win in Montreal on Tuesday. My question mark will be, will they be able to beat the Leafs on the road and then come home and beat Montreal at home after being out on the road? So I do think 2 of these 3 games that they have ahead of them after tonight are winnable. When we look at the Penguins, hard slate here. They have the Bruins at home on Saturday. I could see them being able to get the win over the Bruins, not because I have doubt in the Bruins, but because the Penguins have so much more to play for than the Boston Bruins. And I don't think the Boston Bruins want to get injured at this late in the season. Then they have the Predators, who we know they're locked in a wild card spot, but they have a lot to play for. And then the Islanders on the road. It's definitely, in my opinion, the Pittsburgh Penguins that have the harder schedule here. So both of these teams after tonight have 3 games on deck. Whoever wins this one, I think, is the team that makes it in that last wild card spot. Them or the Washington Capitals. I don't think one of these teams can lose tonight and then make that wild card spot. So whoever you like here, you guys, it's gonna be a crazy night on the ice. That game kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I will be live on SportsGrid. I don't know if that game will still be playing. Yeah, it should be at 8:40 on In-Game Live and on Game Time Decisions right when that game's underway. So stay tuned for live bets in those games as well. If one of those teams goes down 2-0, take the other team plus 1.5 on the puck line. I promise you, it's not going to be a blowout. Well, I can't promise you. I can't see it being a blowout unless one of these goaltenders has a terrible, terrible night under the pressure. Let's look at the Ottawa Senators versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I wanted Andrei Vasilevskiy in net for the Tampa Bay Lightning because he's been absolutely phenomenal versus the Ottawa Senators, but we won't get to see Andrei Vasilevskiy in goal tonight. We'll see Matt Tomkin. Now, Matt Tomkin is 2-2 on the season with a 3.56 goals against average and a .883 save percentage. They will face Forsberg in goal for the Ottawa Senators. Now, the Ottawa Senators are coming off that loss to the Florida Panthers, and I tell you, this team is just sick. They must be sick and tired of playing the Florida Panthers because you look at how they did this season versus Florida. Not only did they go 0-4, but they were outscored 16-2. It was a terrible performance from Ottawa versus the Florida Panthers. So you'd hate to be Brady Tkachuk having to live that down to his brother, but I'm sure they still get along over it. We know the Ottawa Senators are completely eliminated, 72 points. They were eliminated, it seems like, forever ago, 7th in the Atlantic. They are playing spoiler, and they have been playing really strong since they got the pressure of not having to make the playoffs off their back. So it's really interesting how some of these teams come out. When we look here at the Tampa Bay Lightning, we know this is the stronger team, but with Matt Tomkin in, can they get the win? I don't know, you guys. They are clinched in the wild card spot, 4th in the Atlantic, 95 points. They've locked up that first one. And when we look at who they have to catch and where they could go, 95 points. We know the New York Islanders are sitting third, but they're third in the Metro. To catch the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are third in the Atlantic, it's just not going to happen. They've got 101 points. So Tampa's solidified in that first wild card spot. I really do think, because even the Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Detroit, they're all too many points behind to take that first wild card spot. So this could be an interesting one for the Ottawa Senators to be able to come out nice and strong. I do think you look at the player props here for Tampa, and you look at this one to go over 6.5. So current odds in this one, the 6.5 is -124 to the over. I like it. I really do think Ottawa scores in this game, but we can count on the Tampa Bay Lightning to do so as well. The Tampa Bay Lightning are -176 on the money line, +146 for the Ottawa Senators. I'm not going to take a side in this one. If I had to bet it, it would be the value on the Ottawa Senators, with Tampa really nothing to play for other than Nikita Kucherov to continue to get those points on the board. I love the value you're getting on the Ottawa Senators to play that upset role, especially after being spanked again by the Florida Panthers. You know this team wants to take revenge on another team. They did win in February 4-2 versus the Tampa Bay Lightning, and 6-4 earlier in the season. So this is a team that knows how to beat them, but I don't want to bet a side. I'm going to take the over. I lean to the over 6.5. I think your best bet here is Nikita Kucherov for the 2+ points. That's coming in at -110. You can look at him for the 3+ points tonight. That's coming in at +310. How can you say no to that? He has 13 goals and 33 assists in 34 games versus the Ottawa Senators. So this is a team that he knows how to put those points on. In 3 games versus the Senators this season, though, Kucherov has only found the back of the net once. So be careful, even on 9 shots on goal. So be careful with his goal scoring. I would look at those points before I did look at those goals to come in. And then when we look at him over the last couple of games, he was able to get 3 points versus the Columbus Blue Jackets, all assists. 3 points versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, all assists. 3 points versus the Montreal Canadiens, 1 goal and 2 assists, and 3 points versus the Maple Leafs, all assists there as well. So the goal scoring hasn't been coming in. You could take him for the anytime goal, but I really do think you just look at him for the points tonight. So the 2+ points at -110. I know the books have juiced it, but I do like the 3+ points at plus 310 for a little sprinkle there. You've got to think with how he's chasing Nathan, or how Nathan MacKinnon is chasing him. Nathan MacKinnon has 137 points. Connor McDavid 130, and we know he's injured right now. And then Nikita Kucherov at 139. So he's only sitting a couple points ahead of Nathan MacKinnon. And we saw Nathan MacKinnon, that beautiful hat trick the other day. Okay. Yeah, I think Ottawa plus the 1.5 is a nice possibility there. And yeah, Stamkos has been absolutely phenomenal. You look at Stamkos, and his goal tonight is plus 140. He's had at least a goal in his last 6 games. His 2+ points is worth a look tonight as well. Stamkos has been hot out there. It is great to see. Yeah, and that's how it should play out. You just got to be careful right now. If they rest players, if I was looking at Tampa in anywhere, I'd look at them to just come out hot in that first period and then just kind of get up and call it a day. I really don't like betting these teams that are solidified in these final weeks. They don't want to risk injury. They don't want to come out too hard and waste that energy that they're going to need during the playoffs. And especially against a team like the Ottawa Senators. What do the teams like the Ottawa Senators, the Montreal Canadiens, teams that are eliminated, want to do anything more than anything else? They want to give those losses to the teams that they know are going to make it deep into the playoffs. They want to come out and beat them and be able to say, yeah, we might have not made the playoffs this season, but at least we beat the team that made it to the Stanley Cup and things like that. So you got to look at that motivation out there as well. Okay. The New Jersey Devils taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Really interesting matchup here. We know we just saw it. Toronto was able to win 5-2 just 2 nights ago in New Jersey. Now, can they beat them again now in Toronto? I do think so. Jack Hughes out of this lineup for the rest of the season. We know that. But we do have a lot of players for the New Jersey Devils who are playing for their jobs next year. So I'm not ruling out the New Jersey Devils in this one for being able to get some goals. Samsonov will be in net tonight for Toronto, and Jake Allen here for the New Jersey Devils. I do think this is a higher scoring one. I know that Jake Allen has been hot in some of these games for the New Jersey Devils, and the Devils do have the opportunity of pulling off the upset. It's so hard for teams to go back-to-back wins over another. But I think Toronto has still too much to play for. You look at them third in the Atlantic here, 101 points. They're 3 points behind the Florida Panthers with a game in hand. They can take that second spot in the Atlantic. So I do think they come out and get the win. We know here that the New Jersey Devils have been eliminated. 7th in the Metro, 79 points. So without Jack Hughes, it is a big battle here. They have the Flyers on the road on Saturday, and the Islanders is their last game home on Monday. So this could be an opportunity for them to upset the Islanders in that one. I don't think they get the upset here over Toronto. I think Toronto pulls out another win, but it's led by Austin Matthews, and that's where my favorite bet of this game comes. I'm going to look at Austin Matthews for the anytime goal. The books have juiced it so much. You guys, it's minus 130. We know he has 66 goals on the season. He went up and be above Ovechkin for the leading goal scorer of a season, leading active player goal scorer of a season. That was set by Ovechkin back in 2007-2008 season. So now he's got 66 goals. He's the first player to score at least 66 goals since Mario Lemieux back in the 95-96 season for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So he's on track to be able to hit that. They have, after tonight, the Red Wings at home, the Panthers on the road, and the Lightning on the road. So 3 games left. He has 66 goals. I want to see him hit 70. You know he has that in his head to be able to reach 70 goals. No one has accomplished that since 1992-93 season. So this would be huge for Austin Matthews to hit the 70 or more goals, at least hit the 70 to tie that record that was set back then. So I do think the anytime goal tonight at minus 130 is definitely worth making your card. I would also look at the 2+ points tonight. That's coming in at plus 142. Now, if you think he can get 2+ goals, it's versus the New Jersey Devils and Jake Allen. I want to sprinkle a little bit on it. His 2+ goals coming in at plus 430. Could we see a hat trick out of him? If we can, I think it's plus 1600. I do think the 1 goal comes in. The 2+ points, I would look at second, and then I'd put a little sprinkle on the 2+ goals at plus 430 because I can't say no. Not when he's been so hot offensively out there. He has 7 goals in his last 6 games, putting him at that 66 goals, and he is out there trying to make history. His team and his coaches absolutely know it. So, Austin Matthews, his goals tonight, his points. Now, if you're looking at the other side for the New Jersey Devils, like I said, this team is playing for something out there. They're playing for their jobs next year. Jasper Bratt, in his last game, and that was versus Toronto at home, he had his point streak broken. He was on an 8-game point streak, so I would look at him tonight. Jasper Bratt, if he can find the back of the nets, plus 195. Now, Timo Meier, he's been phenomenal out there. He's plus 185 to light the lamp. And Nico Hischier is plus 195 to light the lamp. I like all 3 of those players to come out nice and strong tonight. I don't know if I'd take all of them for the anytime goal, but I'd look at one of those guys for the anytime goal or look at them for their points and kind of parlay it together. I think the points are coming. I think the goals are coming in that game tonight, especially the second time they played each other. We went over in the last game 5-2. Okay. Matthews over 1.5 points. Yeah, you got to look at Matthews for the 2+ points. And I do think the Leafs should win and cover that puck line, but I don't know. The Devils could play hard in this one. Okay, we're going to look at these last couple of games here. We need to talk about, actually, we got quite a few. The Montreal Canadiens taking on the New York Islanders is the next one on deck. The Montreal Canadiens are coming into this one at plus 188. The New York Islanders at minus 230. Total is 5.5. Now, minus 140 to the over. I would take this one to the over before I took it to the under. But I do think we're going to have a strong defensive game out of the New York Islanders. I do think the Islanders get the win. They've won their last 3 games by multiple goals, but the Montreal Canadiens are loving playing upset, and they've been strong all season on the road on that puck line, going 24-14. So I'm not willing to take the Islanders here on the puck line, but I don't want to take the Montreal Canadiens on that puck line either. They're off a huge win versus the Philadelphia Flyers, where they played that upset role. They got the 9-3 win, but this team is eliminated 8th in the Central. They've won both meetings this season versus the Islanders, so the Islanders know they have to bring their best game to the table. The Islanders are sitting 3rd in the Metro with 87 points. The Caps are 2 points behind them, 4th in the Metro. So the Washington Capitals would love to take that 3rd spot in the Metro. The Islanders know this, but they're playing elite hockey right now. So I do think the Islanders are the right side. I just can't find value, because we look at the lines in this one. Minus 230 here for the New York Islanders, plus 188 for the Montreal Canadiens. Total of 5.5 at minus 140 to the over and plus 114 to the under. And like I said, I don't love the puck lines here. I think it's too tight of a game. Now, I am going to look at Varlamov here of the Islanders, the goaltender here for over 25.5 save shots on goal. The last meeting, he only stopped 22 of 26 shots on goal in December. But the prior meeting with the Montreal Canadiens, he stopped 36 of 40. I expect Montreal to be able to get those shots on him tonight. I know the Islanders defense has been cracking down, but when I look at what their defense has allowed and what Montreal has been able to get in some of their games, Montreal offensively, I think, might have an upper edge. So we look at the New York Islanders. Their defense allowed the New York Rangers to put 33 shots on them, on their goaltender. They allowed the Predators to put up 41 shots on their goaltender, and the Columbus Blue Jackets to put up 27 shots on their goaltender. I would expect the Montreal Canadiens to come out and get closer to that 29 shots on Varlamov here. His number only 25.5. We need 26 save shots on goal. Even if he allows 3 in, I do think he goes over this number. Now, I don't see him allowing that many in. When we look at the Montreal Canadiens, the shots that they've been able to put up, they put up 30 shots on the Flyers and 9 goals. That was just crazy. Bad night out there for the goaltending of the Philadelphia Flyers. But I look at them versus the Rangers. They came out nice and strong, 28 shots on the New York Rangers. We know how tight the New York Rangers defense has been all season. And the Islanders, while they've been cracking down as of late, this is as of late. This team we know had allowed Sorokin and Varlamov to be peppered all season. So I do think Montreal can find a way to get enough shots off on them. They also did get 26 shots on Toronto, on the Maple Leafs, which their defense is pretty solid. So I think Varlamov over 25.5 save shots on goal is the best bet of this one. Now, the over has cashed in the last 4 games between these two. The over has gone 4-1 in Montreal's last 5 games as well. So if I was going either way, even though I think Varlamov can go over that number, I still would look at this one to go over that total. Okay, the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars. The Winnipeg Jets are giving the start to Bissois out here and Jake Ottinger for the Dallas Stars. This game, a huge battle here in the Central. The Dallas Stars sitting first in the Central and the Winnipeg Jets sitting third. Now, when we look at current odds in this one, the Winnipeg Jets are plus 142 here on the money line, minus 176 for the Dallas Stars. That total is sitting at 5.5, minus 130 to the over, and plus 106 to the under. I do think defense shows up right out of the gate in this one. I'm going to take the under 1.5 at minus 110. I'm going to take the game under 5.5 at plus 106, but it scares me. I prefer the under 1.5 in the first period over the full game under, because I do think this one has every opportunity of going to OT. This game to go to overtime is coming in at plus 340. I just hope it's 2-2 going to overtime so that we get the under 5.5. It's going to be elite hockey out there, and it has to be defensive. Bissois is 2-0-1 in his 3 games against the Stars in his career with a 1.90 goals against average and a save percentage of .944. I was questioning why Connor Hellebuck wouldn't get to the start here versus the Dallas Stars until I saw Bissois' numbers versus the Dallas Stars. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Last game versus the Stars, he stopped 41 of the 43 shots the Dallas Stars put on him. When we look at Jake Ottinger, he's been hot. He's won his last 8 starts with a pair of shutouts within those 8 starts. He has a 1.63 goals against average and a .939 save percentage over the last 8 games. So Jake Ottinger has been phenomenally strong. This will come down to which goaltender has the better night between Jake Ottinger and Bissois. I know these numbers have been so hot between them, so we could look for some regression. I'm just not seeing it with this game being so pivotal. So the Dallas Stars first in the Central and in the Western Conference right now with 109 points. And we have the Winnipeg Jets third in the Central, 102 points, 7 points behind the Stars with 1 game in hand. I just don't see them catching them. When we look at this, a couple of the players here, Jamie Benn has been absolutely fantastic for the Dallas Stars. He has 9 goals and 5 assists in his last 10 games. Kyle Connor is someone I would avoid for the Winnipeg Jets. Can Kyle Connor finally find the back of the net here versus the Dallas Stars? In the 3 games this season, he has yet to record a goal. He's only had 1 assist and 5 shots on goal. So the Dallas Stars take Kyle Connor out of the equation. If Kyle Connor can get into the game today, I could see the Winnipeg Jets winning this one. But if he can't, I just don't see it happening. The Winnipeg Jets want this win as well, because while I can't see them catching the Dallas Stars, they have every opportunity of catching the Colorado Avalanche. They're only 2 points behind the Colorado Avalanche for the second spot in the Central with a game in hand. And again, when we look at the Dallas Stars, they're 1 point behind the Rangers for the President's Trophy. They're 5 points in front of the Colorado Av and 7 points here in front of the Winnipeg Jets. And they have won the last 3 meetings. It's so hard to sweep a team, but you could see it happening in this one. I do think We see the Dallas Stars win. Again, the odds just aren't there. The Dallas Stars at minus 176. I can't take that on the money line because I think this game goes to overtime at plus 340. I think that's a much stronger bet. If the Dallas Stars win in regulation or the Dallas Stars win in overtime, either way, they clinch the first place in the Central. So they need this win. They want this win. They want to get the clinch. And then I might be looking at them to lose their next game after they clinch this one to kind of relax out there, but not really, because you look at them, they want the President's Trophy. I'm sure this team wants a President's Trophy. So don't sleep on the Stars right now. Last two games on the ice, you guys. We're going to fly through these, and then make sure you join me on Game Time Decisions at 6:57 Eastern, and then back again at 8:40 Eastern. So the last two games, the San Jose Sharks taking on the Seattle Kraken. This game means nothing other than the fact that the Kraken are playing their last game at home. After this, they're heading out on the road. You know the Kraken want to come out strong for their home fans. This is a team where their home fans really get behind them. They have exciting games, and they really want to impress. So Devin Cooley getting the start here for the San Jose Sharks, and Joey Daccord for the Seattle Kraken. Current odds on this one, the Kraken are minus 265. Got to find value. Plus 215 for the San Jose Sharks. The puck line on the Kraken, minus 1.5 at plus 100. Total of 5.5 at minus 122. I would look to the over before I looked at anything if you're just looking at those odds there. But I do think the Seattle Kraken's team total is the best way to take it. I expect them to get at least 4 goals in this game. The team total over 3.5 is coming in at minus 112. I'm also going to circle Jordan Eberle for the anytime goal at plus 185. And yes, he's been held off the scoreboard for so long. He hasn't put up a goal since way back at the end of March versus the Anaheim Ducks. But I do think in this last home game here, Jordan Eberle is someone I have liked to be able to find the back of the net, especially with Jared McCann listed as day-to-day and Vince Dunn day-to-day as well. I do think Eberle really steps up in this game. But like I said, the Kraken hit the road for their last 4 games. They've got a hard schedule. They've got the Stars on Saturday, the Blues on Sunday, the Jets on Tuesday, and the Wild on Thursday to finish off their season. And when we look at the San Jose Sharks, they're home on Saturday versus the Minnesota Wild for their last game at home. And then they hit the road on Monday and Thursday versus Edmonton and Calgary. I don't know why the Sharks always play their last game versus the Calgary Flames. It always seems like it. They beat us last season in Calgary's last game at home. When we look here at Calgary, their last game is at home versus the Sharks. So just a reminder, the Sharks did beat them in that last game last season. The Calgary Flames tonight playing the LA Kings. Now, odds on this one here is coming in at minus 194 for the LA Kings. And remember, the LA Kings still have to clinch a wild card spot. They haven't clinched. The Calgary Flames are plus 160, total of 5.5 at minus 122 to the over. With a win tonight, the LA Kings will clinch a spot here. Cam Talbot will be in net for them. Now, versus Calgary, he's allowed 3 goals in the last 2 meetings. So I'm a little worried Calgary's going to be able to score on him tonight. Jacob Markstrom in net for the Calgary Flames. We know Calgary is eliminated here. They're off the win in overtime versus the Sharks. Yeah, big deal. They got a 3-2 win in overtime, but they will come in with some confidence off that win. They're sitting 6th in the Pacific, and yes, this team is eliminated. They won back on March 30th, 4-2. So they have every opportunity of playing spoiler, but I do think there's way too much here to play for the Kings. They're off that terrible loss to the Anaheim Ducks that I'm still pulling out my hair, how the Ducks beat them 3-1 on Tuesday. It was an absolute mess of a game for the LA Kings out there. So I do think this is a bounce back game for the Kings. It's just trying to find value on the Kings here. So I did a couple of things. I did a parlay with the Kings on the money line with the over 5.5. That came in at odds earlier this morning at plus 159. The Kings were minus 200 on the money line, and the over was minus 122. So now the Kings are minus 194. So it will give you more value if you parlay those two together. I'm also going to look at goal scorers in this one. And I do like that first period over 1.5 because of how we've seen Calgary score on Cam Talbot this season. I think Calgary pops an early one, and then the Kings answer back, and then they begin to lock down. So the first period over 112, over 1.5 is minus 112 if I can talk today. So I love that. Calgary's been hot on their power play as of late. I'm going to look at Kuzmenko here for the power play point. That's coming in at plus 300 for the Calgary Flames. Like I said, Calgary's been clicking on this power play, and we actually saw Kuzmenko get the power play goal in overtime versus the San Jose Sharks. So he was able to get that goal. He's on a 6-game point streak as well, 11 points with 5 goals and 6 assists. So Kuzmenko has been solid out there. But looking at the LA Kings, this is where I have faith tonight. I do think the Kings can get the win and clinch that playoff spot. Kempe for the anytime goals coming in at plus 175. I would look at Kempe for the 2+ points as well. That's coming in at plus 210. Kopitar, also someone that you want to circle out there for the LA Kings. I do think this is a solid night for the Kings. They have the Ducks again at home on Saturday. The Ducks will be on the second night of a back-to-back, so you should think the Kings should be able to beat the Ducks and get revenge in that one. Could Calgary pull off the upset and then the Kings win their next game? I just look at the Kings. They're so strong at home that I can't see them losing after that loss to the Ducks. Then they have the Wild on Monday and the Blackhawks at home on Thursday. And when we look here at Calgary, they've got the Ducks on Friday, the Coyotes at home on Sunday. They're in Vancouver for Tuesday and then back home versus the Sharks on Thursday. So give me the over 1.5 in the first period. Kuzmenko for the power play point at plus 300. You know I want that plus 300. But Calgary's been clicking on that power play. So whoever you like on the power play for Calgary, I would look at them over the anytime goal because I do think those goals will have to come by power play. We know the defense is going to really lock down here for the LA Kings. They know that Cam Talbot needs their support out there. My mom will not go out west. She's probably headed up to Edmonton for their next game, though. I know. Who wants the president's curse? That is for sure. I don't want it on my teams. But lucky for me, Calgary's not even in the running for the playoffs, so nothing to worry about. But you guys, thanks so much for joining me here. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me here on Puckett with Jo on the daily. If you can do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that retweet button. I so appreciate it. It really does help with getting more people to see the show. So all the best in all of your bets. Drop below what your favorite bet of the night is. Raymond throwing out the Dallas Stars for the Stanley Cup champs. Let's just quickly look at the odds on them to win the Stanley Cup. They're coming in at plus 800 right now to win the Stanley Cup. Really nice odds on that. If you like the Florida Panthers, they're coming in at plus 700 on FanDuel, you guys. The Carolina Hurricanes at plus 700. And then it is the Dallas Stars at plus 800. The Colorado Avalanche at plus 800. The Edmonton Oilers at plus 850. And the New York Rangers at plus 900. The reigning champs, the Vegas Golden Knights, are right now plus 1,100. The Boston Bruins plus 1,200. And the Toronto Maple Leafs plus 1,400. Vancouver Canucks plus 1,500. And the Winnipeg Jets plus 1,500. The Tampa Bay Lightning, look at that value, plus 2,400 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Can Nikita Kucherov push his team to the Stanley Cup? Man, I would love to say that. Let me know who you're liking to get the Stanley Cup. It's going to be a hot couple of weeks of playoffs, you guys. I can hardly wait for us to get underway. We have 3, 4, 5 games left for these teams. It's going to be a great last week here in the NHL, but you'll be joining me here every day, 3:30 my time, that's Mountain Standard, 5:30 Eastern, and then check me out tonight on Game Time Decisions, 6:57 p.m. on Game Time Decisions with Kevin Walsh, and then with Joe Ranieri and Dave at 8:40 tonight. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. We'll talk to you soon.